Okay, there you go. Yeah, so Parshas Bechukosai, as it were, seals, Sefer Vayikra. And it's, wanted to see why this is the apropos, as it were, ending. For Sefer, it spoke about the great intimacy that there is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a result of the avodah of the Karbonos, right? As we explained in our opening shir on Parshas Vayikra. Right, so there's a medrash at the beginning of the parasha that the first and the third pshat in the medrash are somewhat need explanation. So I mean the medrash is grabbing onto the lashon of Bechukosai telechu, walk in the chukim, walk. So in connection to Dodech, it brings the passage of Chishavti. I considered my path, my path. Vashiva Ragazeh, and I bring back my legs to your, Eidosecha, to your mitzvahs. So the first pshat says like this, right? Omar David. So David Melch was saying this, Ribar Sham, B'choyam Ha'isi Mechashiv Omer, L'Makom Ploni Beis Piro Ploni Sani Olech. I thought I'm going this place and that place. That's where I thought I was going. Vayu Raglai Mebil Sasi B'Tekech B'Tros, but my legs, would just. So Chishavti Darki, according to this pshat, means I thought I was going to do. Some profane things, shopping or vivos. But my legs just brought me back. My legs just went back to your mitzvahs. So Chishata, I thought I was going there, but my legs just brought me back to your mitzvahs. It's amazing madrega, Alavai Aleinu, right? Alavai Aleinu, but how is this connected? To Parshas Bechukosai, in Bechukosai Telechu, right? So in the middle pshat is rather simple and straightforward. Rahuda b'shem Ravachar Mar Chishafti was me. I calculated my path. So according to this pshat, Matan Schar Shel Mitzvah Ser Shal Veros. Being Chishafti, I thought my path in life. Schar Mitzvah K'neged Hefseda, Schar Avera K'neged Hefseda, Cheshbon HaNefesh. Vashir HaGazen, and I made the Cheshbon and I went back to the mitzvahs. So that second shot is very, very straightforward, and fits like a glove. Bechukosai telechu. Fine. But then there's the third shot. That's even stranger than the second shot. And it says like this. From Nachem Chatan Reb Elazar Bar Rabbeinu Amar Chishafti Mashkal Torah Bechukosai telechu V'tzit Tamam Sati Shon Baris. Maksiv Tamam Yasafti Yasra Eschem. Right? So I started thinking about, the first, the promises versus the curses. Right? But Rav Abba Breder of Chia B'Shem Yosser Amar, it gets a little bit more detailed. Chishafti brachas, chishat klos. I thought about this, what's in this parsha. We contrast the brachas and the klolos, right? So I thought about this. I really thought about the brachas versus the klolos, right? In more detail than the manjam we just quote, not just on brachas versus klolos, but I started really thinking about, brachas versus klolos. Brachas me aleph ad tav, right? Im b'chukosai tekel until tav. V'olechaschem kol miyus ends with the tav. So brachas go from aleph to tav. Klolos mi vav ad hey, right?
Sorry, what's the aleph?
Aleph of im b'chukosai telechu.
Until kol miyus.
Right. And close mi vav ad hey, and close from v'im lo tishmuli, ad hey is a machlokas over here, whether it's talking about the close in the Vihestus, in Parshas Kisavon, the ain kol, right.
What's the other mandan amar?
just see the.
Okay.
You know, whatever. We'll have to look it up, but I only see over here off the top, that the brachas of the klaus are referring to Vimlo Tishmu, Ve'en Koneh, which is Yem Tochacha in Parshas Kisavo.
Okay.
All right. That's not the. Actually, right. So brachas are better. They're from Aleph to Tav, close only from Vav to Hey. And now that's in the reverse order. It's supposed to be Hey Vav in the regular order of the Aleph base. And then catch that, since it's in the opposite, it's like in a mutant order. It's supposed to be Hey Vav, and then the close are Vav Hey. So Amravavin Zechit Reifachem close to brachas. Tarasi Adolchsiv goes. If you zoche, I'll even turn the close to brachas because they're not really meant to be in that order anyway. It's vav hey. It's supposed to be hey vav, symbolizing that if you're zoche, I'll turn the klala to bracha. When you keep my Torah, and that's Bechukosai telechu. Right? Walk in the chukim, and then even the klala gets turned to the bracha because as a word, the klala is not meant to be. Now, obviously, it can't be that David Melch is so obtuse, right? That he's gonna prefer the brachas, because they're from Aleph to Tav, as opposed to close are from Vav to Hey, and Vav to Hey is backwards. I mean, please, you've heard of brachas because they're more pleasurable, and you don't like the close because they're very non-pleasurable, right? So obviously, David Melch is engaged in a much deeper philosophical investigation. Right? And that is like this. When this third pshat, where it says, I thought about the brachas, I thought about the close. I mean, the second half of the third pshat, where, when Rav Chia Bar Oven, David Melch is actually researching a great query that has, been on the minds of the greatest thinkers of all times, Jew and Gentile alike. Right? Now, of course, bracha is more pleasurable than klola. The question is a different query. Are they equally as real? Now, of course, the nafkaminas as right. The nafkaminas of whether they're equally real are very many, right? First of all, if they're equally as real, there is no real nechama for the ra that has befallen a person. There is no consolation if it's just as real as the tov, right? Number one. And number two is that chas v'shalom, a person could say, so I'll be bad. I'll make a pact with Satan, right? Whatever, chas v'shalom, etc. So size, and of course the biggest philosophical question is like, where does the ra come from if God is only good? Maybe chas v'shalom shtei reshuyos him. Right? There's like many nafkaminas to this query, as if the ra is equally as real as the tov. Whether there's any real nechama for ra, if it's mamash real. Whether a person could make a pact with Satan, or where does the ra come from? If God is only good, etc., etc. So David HaMelech, is mamish. This is the inyan of this, the second half of the third pshat. David HaMelech is mamish contemplating the mitzias of Toiv versus the mitzias of Ra. And the first aspect, of what he's oimed on, is basically what the Rambam writes in the Mor Nevuchim about this topic, right? When it says brachas are from Aleph to Tav, and the close only from Vav to Hey. Even before we get to the aspect of that's Vav Hey as opposed to Hey Vav, just Aleph Tav versus Vav Hey. The first thing that the Medrash pointed out before the Medrash further pointed out that it's a backward, right? Because it's being moramis to the yesod that the Rambam says in the Mor Nevuchim about how the klal, the whole is good, right? The ra, right? The ra is not in the klal; it's in the prat. And and then the Rambam says that if if a person would look at the whole, the whole of life, the whole of the world, it's full of type. It's full of type, right? Right. The Ra is it's either in a certain segment and only temporarily. Temporarily. So it's mamish. It's like mamish. Bottled to the type. But it's a very deep nakuda. The way a prat is bottled to a cloud, right? Right. So he basically says that all the people that complain basically have a terrible attitude problem because they're just focusing on a prat, and then they're losing, as it were, what's the expression? They lose the forest and the trees or something like that.
Yeah, lose the forest for the trees.
Right. As the Ram goes on to say, not exactly these words. Afilu Tomar, one person will argue, I never had one good day in my life. And a person will say that Mamish, those will be his last words on his deathbed. I never had one good day. Don't give me this business, right? Don't give me this business of, the toll, the rana. Fine, but you are just a prat. You're not the klal of the Metzias, right? You're a problem, right? The Metzius is toiv. Metzius is toiv, and the Rambam, I do believe, elsewhere, not in the same place, invokes the pasuk by when God created Metzius. V'al kim kitov. Metzius, reality is toiv. The Ra does not reflect reality, right? It's mamish. The klal is toiv. The Ra is a yotzim in a klal. And a person has just conditioned himself to look at the klal and not look at the prat. Right? It's not even a prat of the klal. It's a yotzim in a klal. It's a yotzim in a klal.
Isn't the beginning of Mesilas Yesharim that talks about how this world can't be the goal of creation? He certainly makes it sound like Ra has infested the world. This can't be it. So I would understand. I don't want to know rov miyut whatever. But is there any stira to the two ways of looking at this world?
No, listen.
What do we say? There's male pratim of Ra. That's what the Mesilas Yesharim was talking about. And it can't be sholem.
No, it's not kedai to have been born for the sake of this world. He's talking about being created.
Right.
He's talking about it doesn't make sense that God created us to put us here, but it doesn't mean necessarily that therefore you say about life that it's Ra. It just doesn't make sense that this is
all there is.
This is all that there is, because why is it so kedai to be created for this? Right. His main argument is that the person is not nivra for olam hazeh. Right. Can't be. That's why we were created. I don't think the Ram would disagree. But you say that the Metzius is Ra. The Metzius is Tov. The Metzius is Tov. The Ra is in some of the things, some of the times, right? So now you don't have to now. So once you realize that, the kasha is bottle, because if the Ra is a klal, then we have a cruel God, chas v'sholom, right? Once you understand that the Ra is the yotzim min a klal, so then you ask a simple question. Well, why did it happen to me? Why did it have to happen to me? I'll tell you why. You probably did a chet, right? But if the Ra would be a cloud, then even if you'd be a tzaddik, the Ra would befall you. It would be one of the laws of nature, that there is Ra. So you'd be the biggest tzaddik in the world, you'd still have Ra, because it's one of the laws of nature. Once you understand, meaning the Ram doesn't get into how this Yesod answers all the kashas, but once you're omer that it's the yotzim in a klal, So then, you know, then okay, now you make your cheshbon nefesh why it had to happen to you, since it's a yotze min haklal, right? Right. Right, but like the first Nakuda is Be'ikar the Rambam's gang, the Rambam's mahalach to the issue in the Mor Nevuchim, right? But then the Medrash goes further, which is more of an Indian that's discussed in Sifrei Kabbalah, not that the Ram necessarily argues, the Ram discussed this Nakuda. But now, when it points out that it's in the backwards flow from the Vav to the Hey. So that's a Davar Nifla. So, again, building on the basis, on the base, that the Ra is the Yotzim min HaKlal, but even when the Ra happens, it's one must be misbained, even when it does happen, the nature of the Ra, when it does occur, in those Yotzim min HaKlal. So it's saying it's Merumas that it's in the backwards flow from Vav to Hey. Right, so now what do the letters Hey and Vav represent? So, in the writings of the Maharal, as well as in the writings of the Talmidim of the Vilna Gaon, they say that Hey represents Chomer, matter, and Vav represents form. Right? Right, Hey represents matter because you see that the Hey is built up of separate parts. Right. So Hay takes up a tremendous amount of space, like matter takes up space. Right, but it also takes up, it has two disconnected parts. So of the three lines that build the Hay, so you have the third line that's disconnected from the other two, because matter is, pure matter without form is in disunity, and there's Zinyan that Olam Hazeh is Nivra Behei. Right, that the Gemara Menach says Olam Hazeh is Nivra Behei, and Olam Hazeh is Domer Behei. It's very easy to fall out, fall out the bottom, I could get back in through tshuva, but you could fall out again. The instability and the disunity, right, of the hay. And then you have the vav. Vav is a line. A line is what connects 2 points. And that's what that's what vav does. First of all, even the word, there's a Hebrew word vav, like vavei ha'amudim, which are connectors. And that's, what the vav does, it's grammatical, it's what it does in Hebrew grammar. Vav ha'chibur, ze, v, ze. Whether it connects, two objects, zachar, v, nekeva, right? Or the vav ha'mahapech that connects, that actually turns past into future and future into past. It makes the connection. The Maharal says, vav is a line. A line is what connects 2 points. Right? And that's what's called form. Form is like to pull matter together in a configuration, in a unifying configuration. That is form. Right? That is form. Now, take a look, in the famous Echad Miyodea. I believe Rav Yitzchak Isaac Chaver points this out. The famous Echad Miyodea, right? So, Chamisha Miyodea, Chamisha Ani Yodea, Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Shisha Miyodea, Shisha Ani Yodea, Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. Right? The Torah Shebechsav is 5. The Torah Shebal Peh is 6. Right? So points out, I believe it's Rav Isaac Chaver in his Pirush on the Haggadah. So he says, that the psukim in the Chumash, that's the raw material. That's the Chomer. That's our raw material that we learn halacha from. But there's not one single mitzvah you could do kitsurata based on psukim and Chumash alone. Not even bris milah, because it doesn't say where to cut. Right? There's like not one mitzvah that you could derive its full form. So comes the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, the Torah Shebal Peh. whether it gives us the missing information to formulate the mitzvah, formulate Lashon form, or it's the koach of drashot that's there in the Torah Shabbal Peh. That what did drashot do? It takes a pasuk from one part of Chumash, contrasted with a pasuk that's on the opposite end of Chumash, draws it together through a Kal V'chomer, or through a Gzera Shava, or through a Binyanav, right? With the drashot, the psukim are pulled to the disparate, separate psukim are pulled together in a configuration that gives us the mitzvah kitsurata. The mitzvah kitsurata. So it comes out that that the mikraot are the chomer, but the Torah Shabbal Peh pulls together the chomer in the tzura that gives us the mitzvah kitsurata. And that's why it's not a coincidence that it's chamisha chumshei Torah, shisha sidrei mishnah. Right? All right. The Zohar further says by the creation of Adam, Adam was zachar in the cave. It's really the Maral says in a lot of places that that man is tzura and a woman is chomer. You see it also in what they contribute in the baby. The Gemara says that he gives the loben that comes from the man, gives the atzamot, which gives the form. The woman gives the odem, which gives the basar, which is the flesh, the matter. Right? But that's why Isha has the word hey, the letter hey. In her word, the man is ish. Yud from the olam ha'elyon. The olam ha'elyon gives tzura to the olam ha'tachton. But it further says on the pasuk when Adam Rishon was originally a androgynous, he was half man, half woman. Then of course was split, cut him in half. So by the original creation of Adam, Vayibel came as Adam Bitzalmo, Bitzelem Elokim, Bara'oto, Zachar Nekeva Bara'otam. It's the first pasuk, the first account of the creation of Adam. So Zachar Nekeva Bara'otam, right? Together. Then he split them, right? So what does it say in the first part of that same pasuk? Bitzalmo, Bitzelem Elokim. So Zok the Zohar says it's Meforish. Tzalmo Tzelem Vav. That refers to the male side, the Vav, the Tzura. And then B'Tselem Elokim is the feminine side. So it comes out that the Hey is the female side, and the Yud, or alternatively the Vav, is the male side. Right? And that's Chomer and Tzura. And that's the interaction between male and female. She's the Chomer, he's the Tzura. Right? Right. Okay, so now, in the original order of creation, before Chet Adam Rishon, right, we found that in the original, the world progressed from Chomer to Tzura, right, like in the Seder of the Aleph base, from Hey to Vav. Which is the way it should be. Right? Things should just become better and better, which means, more refined and a more refined surah. The world went from tov vavo, right? It was matter without form. Tov vavo. So Rashi says, it was tov, like you look at it, like, what the heck is this? That's tov vavo. Rashi says, right there on the pasuk. It's matmiya and vil vavo. What is it? What?
It's a funny way to translate that, Rashi. I'm sorry.
Yeah, whatever. It's basically, colloquial, like, what the heck is this? Right? Basically, it's Rashi right there told before.
No, I know.
Right? Okay. So and then after that, the Rebbe started making tzura, giving tzura to that tohu vavo. Right. It was originally chomer without tzura, right?
Why did Rav use the Hey to Vav progression as opposed to Aleph the Taf? I realize that's what he's been referring to up until now, but why does this?
I mean, obviously Aleph to Taf, obviously is the Ganze Zach,
Right.
But I'm focusing on the Tzura to Chomer transition.
Okay.
The proper order as opposed to what Klola is. We're trying to contrast Bracha with Klola. I said what's mutant about Klola, which
Okay.
I find. Look, so listen. Okay, and that's that was the Bria Bechlal. and the Bria Sa'adam Befrat. That's the Bria. So we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the second account of the creation of Adam. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gathers all the Vayitzor, Shelokim Adam Afram and Adama, right? Vayitzor. He gives Tzura to the earth. Vayitzer Hashem Elokim es Adam Afram and Adama. Right? He was Afar, right? He was just like amorphous dirt, and he gave him a tzura, and that was in as far as the physical form. And then after that, he gave him a nishmas chaim, which is the spiritual form, which makes an adam, an adam, as opposed to a behemoth. So you see, the biyasoid, the yasoid of Maisa Bereshis, the real order of Maisa Bereshis is as such that things are meant to progress from Chomer to Tzura. And this even remains true in the Reshit of everything, even in our world, which is the world of after Chet Adam Rishon, right? Kol Davar Bereshitov actually works that way. Well, again, bringing the best example is the human being, right? The best example is human being, at the time of conception, right? So the Gemara says the first 40 days he's Maya Ba'alma. He's just water. And then that's the first. And then there's Arav God Yitzira Savad, Yitzira Miloshan Tzura. On the 40th day he gets his Tzura. So he progressed from Chomer to Tzura. And then that Tzura just gets, more and more refined until birth. Right? And then that tzura becomes even more refined and it grows into adulthood. Problem is after it's all downhill. Right? But the emes is that even in other even in vegetable life, the seed totally decomposes. And then afterwards, from the mamash it goes back to chomer, but then the DNA interacts. With the minerals in the ground and dust, and then a tzura of a plant emerges. So you see that just like in the original Maisa Bereshis, the Bria B'Yisoid remains that way. It's the problem is that later in life things start declining. Right? That's the problem. Where does that decline come from? Because you see in the Rashis, the Davar B'Yisodo. The Davar B'Yisodo goes from Chomer to Tzura, right? And then all of a sudden, after it reaches its high point, and then it starts going in reverse. Take a look at the reverse of, aging, decomposition, death, whatever you want to call it, rotting, the Doik V'Tishkach, any type of hefsed, avadon, in any aspect of existence is actually starting to go in the reverse of things are losing their tzura and are reverting back to chomer. They revert back to chomer without tzura. That's aging. That's rotting. That's something just not being new. First thing the corners stop being so sharp. Tzuras, you see the mamash goes. Things start in the reverse flow of going back from tzura to chomer without tzura. Right? But where does that come from? Now you see it's obviously a mutant. Because we saw that the Dvarim mitzad Reshitam and mitzad Yesoidam go from Chomer to Tzura. And all of a sudden, after it reaches the high point, it starts going backwards.
And that can't be part of a whole pattern, a whole unified pattern. It has to be that it's as the Rav put it, a mutant, more than just mutant variation, a negation.
Well,
why?
No, I'm speaking totally from a Torah philosophy. I cannot force a a physicist or a biologist to be made to me.
Uh-huh.
Right, but I'm saying, about this Torah, I'm just saying, from a Torah, you see that the davar miyasoidai ubeshorsho goes from chomer to tzura, and all of a sudden reverses. Now it's mefurish.
And the paradigm
But-
is
but-
from the Torah itself. That's how you see
You
that
know,
Hashem
so-
did things.
No,
And that's
but
what
not-
we're
but
supposed,
since
things are
Chet on
supposed to be.
Mauritian,
Yeah,
because he said, after it said, ki offer ata, they'll offer tashuv.
Right.
You're going to go backwards, reverse degeneration.
Yeah.
Akash said that mefurish, that is the einish for Chet on Mauritian.
Yeah.
El offer tashuv. You're going to start regressing back to where you came from, which is what happens when a person ages. Right? Starts losing his tzura, and then and then that's what happens. In even more when he dies and decomposes in the grave. The chomer, the thing, the tzura leaves, and the thing reverts to chomer without tzura, and it's mefurish that's death, and that's it. But Hakadosh Baruch Hu himself qualified death that way. Offer tashuv. There's going to be now. You're going to regress back to where you came from, right? But if it wouldn't have been for Chet Adam Marisha, and it wouldn't have been that way, right? Things would have just moved to a higher and higher form of refinement.
Isn't the Derech Hashem talks about what it would have been like for Adam Rishon, how he would have been be constantly being
better and better.
As he is.
Yeah, it's also in the Das Tfunis also. It's just that mitzad. So in the Das Tfunis he puts it like this: that since there is the koach of the Sitra Achra, there is the koach of the Sitra Achra as a result of the Chet. So now mitzad the Sitra Achra, that's mitzad the Sitra Achra. That's what causes the things to revert. But the etzem koach of Chaim goes from chomer to tzura. But mitzad there's a Sitra Achra. That's what causes after a person reaches his high point. So now the Sitra Achra starts being goiver and pushing him back to. But it's mitzad the Sitra Achra, not mitzad the Sitra the kedusha. It's the death force. It's not mitzad the etzem koach of life. The etzem koach of life is in hey vav. Right. Right. So David Melch is actually observing that even when the Ra happens, so it's just a prat that's yotzim in a klal, not a prat of the klal, but a prat that's yotzim in a klal. But even when it does happen, it's mamash a mutant being. It's going in the opposite flow of what the Ribbon Shalom intended, and that's why it's bekal to turn the klala to bracha, because it's not meant to work that way. It's as it were, klala swims against the tide, swims against the how do you call it?
Current, stream.
Right. And that's why just if you keep the mitzvahs, I'll turn the klala to bracha, because even when it does happen in the pratim where it does occur, it's mamish going against the yesod of the bria. So now, so it comes out like this. But we wanted that all the gantz mitzias of klola, the yesod that we want to lay down. The gantz mitzias of klola, it's in this week's parsha, is mikoach, is the pshat, right? If I want to say a hagdara in klola, the hagdara of klola is things reverting from tzura back to chomer. Reverting back to chomer without tzura.
But not everything is just decomposition in the cloud.
Oh, yes it is. Oh, because one of the big things that we, because that's really the definition of losing something. because a law, a law of physics and chemistry is matter could be neither created nor destroyed. There's the law of conservation of matter. So if it can't be, why the heck did I lose it? Because the matter is there, but without tsura. And that's why, and because, let's say, money, right? The tsura of money is what makes it money. And if I lose my money, so even though those dollar bills are somewhere, right? But they're not by me, right? Or not in the form that is useful to me. But it's more than that. It's nifla mode. That's why one of the major a matzav of klola is also the matzav of golus, which we read about extensively in this week's parsha. What's golus? Separation, dispersal. Dispersal is klai, so it doesn't have the tsura of an am anymore. Right? Because we're dispersed. Right? Because the tsura is that everything is held together. The dispersal is also is that the tsura is removed from the chomer. Right? So that's on a national level. The dispersal. Am Yisrael doesn't have the tsura of an am anymore. Right? The koch that holds everything together has left, and that's why there's the dispersal. Okay. Okay. So now the inyan of Sefer Vayikra, going back to Yesodus that we laid down in the first year on this Sefer, right? So Vayikra El Moshe. So was it Loshen Chiba, Loshen Shemalcha Shas Mishtanshbo? Connection, intimacy. And we quoted, I believe, in that shir, the Medrash Rabbah in Parshas Bereishis that darshans the 5 times or keneged the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. So the 3rd time it says or is on the pasuk Vayal Kimisa or Kitov. So the Medrash says that's Sefer Vayikra. That has halachas merubas. And that's Lashon Medrash. It has many halachas. So it's Vayal Kimisa or Kitov. Right. So we further explained in that shir, that what's Pshat Vayal Kimisa or Kitov, right? So there's the Ramban says that with that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the pool of God saying that's good was the pool of giving it kiyum. Right, the Avod of Korbanos. This is the book of intimacy. Right, this is the book that gives us kiyum. Like we explained, we brought the Lashon of the Haggadah and the Dayenu. The highest madrega, after all, the 15th Dayenu, Uban Alonis Beis Abchira Lechaper Al Kol V'Rosenu. The kapara is what gives us our kiyum, that will never have so many sins, God forbid, that will ever chas v'sholem, need to be destroyed. What keeps the intimacy going, keeps the vayikra, the calling, the intimacy. Right? So what does Rashi over there at the beginning of the Sefer say? Is the opposite of Vayikra. The opposite of Vayikra is carry. And that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself to the Nevi'im of the Goyim. Carry, because there's no real chibur there. So what's the lashon that comes up recurrently in our parsha over and over and over again? Carry, and telling me carry. Now carry. Right? Keri is the opposite of Vayikra. Vayikra is chibur. what you call chiba, but chiba shows that there's chibur, right? 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 Chiba shows that there's chibur. And now the avodah of the korbanos, the kapara, keeps us mechubar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That if there's ever problems, we get rid of the problems and we stay close, right? But deeper than that, the whole lashon of korban, the Ramban Mamash, beginning of Sefer Vayikra, right? Korban lashon karov. It's to keep close, because really, roiv korbanos are on chet, right? And of those, ruba are all out for chet, for kapara. And ruba of that ruba of that ruba is for chatoim b'shogeg. There's like very few averos that b'meiza bring a korban, right? Because that's mamish writing, because an avera b'shogeg was that you were disconnected, because your head was somewhere else, right? And you didn't know what you were doing. Right? You forgot it was Shabbos. You forgot that it's Asur. Right? Right? That's shogeg. There's silu kamoichin. Now this is a davar nifla ma'od. That this silu kamochin that caused your goof, to do a chet. Right? That's what the korban sets right. So your animal side, you were act like an animal because you were besilu kamoichin. That's why you're b'shogeg, right? So the animal side of you, because a man without his das is like an animal. The animal side of you did a chet, so you have to be makar of the animal side, and that's by being makar of a korban. It represents your nefesh abahami. You bring it close to Hashem again. You remake the connection. Now here's a davar nifla showing how it's mamish. It also fits into the chomer tsura pattern, because. What chomer is mass, right? 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 What's tsura? It's not mass. Tsura is the intelligent design. Tsura is machshava. Right? You weigh something unformed and you weigh it again after it's been formed. You see, it doesn't weigh any more. Most of the time it weighs less because you shaved off some edges, right? There's niflamot, right? You put the clay before you formed it on the scale, and then you put it again on the scale after you formed it. It'll weigh the same thing, not more. You added tsura to it, right? Because no, the tsura is the koach of machshava. It's the intelligent, the pattern that holds it all together. It's not the chomer. It's it's a davar yadua that the tsura is almost ruchani relative to the chomer. That's how the Maharal uses these terms. He calls many sfarim called the ruchnis tsura. Gashmis chomer. Right? But that's what it is. It's the intelligent design. Right? The intelligent design. The design is always the result of the mind of the designer. The intelligent design is the tsura, right? Like the tsura of the Adam, the Rambam writes in the Hilchos Sodei Torah, the tsura of the Adam is seichel. That's what makes it Adam an Adam. He conducts himself in an intelligent manner. He's a man and not a monkey. By the way, the tsura of his hanhok, right? So it's so nifla mode that when a person did an avera b'shogeg, what you say is silu kamoichin, right? He wasn't thinking, he forgot, right? So that's, so at that time when the body went, he was bibli das, right? So, so he was like chomer without tsura, right? And comes the korban, and fixes that, right? And then, the korban, has to be done with das. It means das bailin. Chachma, zu seder kachim, bringing the chomer back to its tsura. Now, there's all the opposite of keri, right? Now, I'll tell you, there's two major forms of keri, right? right? Keri me, in the context of our parsha, means coincidence. I talking with Keri when I feel like it. It's not by design. It's by happenstance. Whether I say that the bad things happen by coincidence because hey, that's the way the ball bounces. Whether my relationship with Hashem is like Rashi says, lifrokim, when I feel like it. It's not by design. It's not be'etzem, right? Or there's tumas Keri. Tumas Keri. Like Rashi says, Asher korcha b'derech lashon Keri lashon tuma. Tumas Keri. Now take a look at tumas Keri and take a look at what we call Keri as in coincidence or happenstance. Seemingly the two are very unrelated, but they are extremely related when you view them philosophically. So like by tumas Keri, hotzah zer levatola, right? Mikre laila. So there's no connection because it would not be a ched if the zera would go into the nekeva and it would connect to its tachlis, right? So it's obviously disconnection, and that's exactly what happens now. That zera that went levatol will be chomer that will never attain tsura, because if it would go into the nekeva, over there would be nitztayer into a vlad. So it's disconnection, and because of the disconnection, it will remain chomer without tsura, right? Right, and that's what coincidence is. I say there's no tachlis, there's no purpose, there's no connection between the events. There's no koach hamekasher between events. There's no tachlis that's all leading up to. That mamish, it's mamish b'shorish ha'inyan. When you understand the philosophical inyan of the two, they are the same, right? No tsura, no intelligent design, which means no connection, because it's the intelligent design that makes the connection. And that's mamish tumas Keri. It's not connected, the bris and that. And Mimela, that's why it will remain Chomer without Surah. It's also coincidence. There is no plan. There is no master plan. It's all coincidence. It's really Hainu Hach. And that's what happens in our week's parasha, the Keri, which is the opposite of Vayikra. It's already alluded to at the beginning of this Chumash. Right? Right. Ay, ay, ay. Now, by the way, with this we can understand, based on the yesod that we laid down in last week's parsha, and in Chutz La'aretz, they read these two parshas together, right? There's one thing that also is mentioned. There's Keri and there's also Oz Tirtzar Shabso Seha. That one of the causes for the tochacha and the golus, tochacha bechlal, golus befrat, is not keeping shmita. So we explained in last week's shir, shmita is hit kalalut, where everything comes together. That makes tsura. Right? People don't keep shmita, so there's no hit kalalut, so I'm going to disperse you. But here's the kunz of Parshas Bechukosai, right? That the Ribbon Shalom is telling us, right? The Ribbon Shalom is telling us, you should know, this connection that Sefer Vayikra created between us does not end at the time of Golus. One would think, when you have the Avod of Karbonos, you have this ability to always attain kapara, ma tovu ma noim. But if we ever lose the base of Mikdash, we're hopeless. V'zacharti es brisi Yaakov, v'af es brisi Yitzhak brisi Araskar v'artz es kor, which is not said at the end of Tocha. It's said towards the end, but there's another pasuk or two of Tocha, and then Riboshim says after that, v'af gam zos biosam beretovem lo ma'aser odi chalsam for brisam. I'm not abandoning Klal Yisrael. I'm not abandoning Klal Yisrael. But why am I not abandoning Klal Yisrael? Because of two psukim earlier, still in the middle of the Tocha, not towards the end. V'zacharti es brisi Yaakov. We saw af brisi Avram eskar v'artz eskar. Rashi points out this is one of the 5 times in Tanakh that Yaakov is spelled with a vav. And Rashi brings a chazal that there are 5 times that Eliyahu Hanavi is spelled without a vav. That Yaakov took the vav of Eliyahu as a mashko. I'm not giving it back to Eliyahu until you redeem my children from the goats. So now Kayadua, Rashi and other Mepharshim deal with the kasha of why the Seder of the Avos is the opposite. It goes from Yaakov to Yitzchak to Avraham. It should be, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, the Seder of how they were born. So Rashi says his pshat, right? But the Ramchal, whose yortzeit was on Erev Shabbos, the Ramchal's yortzeit always comes out in the parsha, the week of the parsha of Bechukosai, right? The Ramchal writes in his Megillah Storim on Chumash, says like this, right? That no, the ikar of Klal Yisrael's kiyum in Golus is Yaakov Avinu, right? Right? Right, Yaakov Avinu. So now we're going to put it in our words, that the real formation of Klal Yisrael, the Iker Jewish form, we're talking about form, Tzura. Iker Tzura of a Yid is from Yaakov Avinu. Right, whether it's the famous Chazal that Rashi brings, also, Demus Yaakov Chakuka Bekisei HaKavod, his image is engraved, his marsh kind of the Tzura, or where, the Tzura it's in the Kisei HaKavod, or the Gemara B'Metzia, Shufrei, the Yaakov Me'ain Shufrei Adam Rishon, he had the image of something resembling Adam Rishon Kodem Achet. Right? And the Ramchal points this out, he's saying, that's why from Yaakov Avinu there was no psoilus. He's the perfect form, so all his 12 children remain Jewish, whereas Avraham had Yishmael, and Yitzchak had Esau, because they were not fully formed. So mitzad, the aspect of them that was not fully refined, mitzad that, they could have a kid that wasn't a yid. Yaakov Avinu is the full tzura. And really that's the midah of Tiferes, Yaakov Avinu's midah, which is the final tzura because it holds everything together. Chesed and Din are reconciled. They're not two opposing forces. They are reconciled in the Tiferes that pulls it all together. That's why Tiferes the Ikar Koach of Tzura. It pulls the different elements together in a reconciled system. That's why Tiferes is Keneged Torah. And Tiferes is also from the Anaf Hadas. Das, is Chibur. And Kayadua, Yaakov Avinu's letter is the Vav of the Shem. Yud is Avram, Hey is Yitzchak, Vav is Yaakov. The final Hey is David HaMelech, Kayadua. And that's the Vav being Mashpia to the Hey. That's the final Hey is like the Chomer. That's Makabal Etzur of the Vav. David HaMelech, the Malchus being Makabal from the Tiferes. The Tiferes and the Yesod, which are all on the Vav. So Yaakov Avinu's letter is the Vav. That's why he could repossess the Vav from Eliyahu Hanavi. The Ramchal says, really, the Koach of Yosef HaTzadik and of Eliyahu Hanavi, who are beside the Midah of Yesod, it's on loan from the Tiferes. That's like what continues the link in the middle between the Tiferes, which is the Vav, the big Vav, and the Malchus, which is the Hay, the Chomer that gets, there's the little Vav in the middle, which is Midas HaYesod, which is Kayadua, Yosef, and Eliyahu. So, but as it were, they're like the extension of the Vav. So Yaakov Avinu can repossess the Vav. Right?
How does Vav relate to Yesod? I know my own way how Vav relates to Yesod. How is the Rav relating Vav to Yesod? We just said
Hamshacha, as it were. That's Vav Rapsa and Vav Zeira. Like the word Vav is spelled with 2 Vavs.
Right.
As it were, so that the Zohar says, the Mekubalim say, that Yaakov is the main Vav, and then as it were, the Milui, how Vav is the Milui of Vav, That's Yosef.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, right. That's as the word. You know, Tiferes reaches the Malchus through Yesod. As it were, it's extending weiter. To extend weiter. So Yaakov with the Vav is our Kiyum in Golos. V'zacharti is Brisi Yaakov. And that pasuk is still said, not, and Tocha is not totally finished. There's one more pasuk of Tocha, and then it says, V'afkam zos biyosmer lo masagot chamchalasam lo for Brisa. I'm not going to abandon the Jewish people. Because there's a koach of Yaakov Avinu. Avram and Yitzchak are just a tosefet, says the Ramchal. That's his mahalach in that chazal. They're a tosefet, and we have their schut also. But the ikar kiyum of Klal, that Klal never totally loses their tzura, even in a matzav of keri. That's the koach of Yaakov Avinu. The koach of the vav is be'etzem by him, and that's why he has the power to repossess it from Eliyahu, to force him to come. But the ikar is, but the word is, well, it's not just time they took the vav away from Eliyahu. Shad is the vav was nostalgic to its shoresh, went back to its root, right? But from there, from its place in the root, it's being mashpia to us, even in Gos. And this goes back to the shir that we said in Parshas Vayechi, that's beside Yaakov Avinu lo meis. I believe we spoke this out twice in the Shurim and Sefer Bereshis. Yaakov, that Klal in Gos is called Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yaakov doesn't die. Yisrael is nostalgic, but Yaakov doesn't die. And that saying of Yaakov full with a vav, that's what's mashpia to us in Golos. Right? Even in our low state, there's the power of the vav achibur. That even when klape chutz, it's keri, but bipnimius, it's vayikra. And that's why this parsha is the end of Sefer Vayikra. You should know that this bond that we formed with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, b'schus the karbonis, is not bottle in the time of the Golos. It's meir merachok. And even this pull of being meir merachok, because Yaakov took the vav away from Eliyahu, that's also in itself mekarev the geula, because Eliyahu Navi wants to get his vav back. But in matzav where the vav is nostalgic l'shorsho, from there it's meir to us even in the Gos. Be'ikar because of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is the tzura metukenet. The vav is by Yaakov. That's his letter in the Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, right? That even in a matzav that klape chutz it's all keri, in pnimius it's vayikra, showing that in pnimius we have the intimacy of the avodas hakarbonos with us even in the zman of Golos. And that's what shows that the ahava and the chibur is real. It's very easy to be intimate with someone when things are going good, right? That's not a test of the cohesion and the commitment. If everyone's on their best behavior, that's no test to the cohesion and commitment. The real test of the real love and commitment between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is when things are not good. When Klal Yisrael is kivyachol in disgrace, but secretively, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still mayor. He still is mayor to us, and as a result, because of the Brisi Yaakov. So the two psukim there, V'afkam zos biyosam be'otzam lo me'asagozim. Even a matzav of keri, it's still vayikra. That shows the godless of the chibur. That shows the depth of love and commitment, because it's the love and commitment is not doesn't show anything if everyone's on their best behavior. That's
What is it about? I understand that korbanos is a paradigm of chibur. The Rav explained that, but how does the koach of the korbanos that once was and is going to be again, how is that koach in particular? How does that koach in particular reveal itself?
It's connected the tzura of Klal Yisrael. as it were, it's not that the korbanos was like a way of bribing a Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's what you might think, but it's not. The shot is it's the cause and effect is hafuch. Because we're so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He gave us korbanos.
He gives us the opportunity for kapara to keep the Hebrew
but when we lose it, we didn't lose the closeness. That because of that closeness, He gave us korbanos. Mm-hmm. The cause of that, not because of korbanos that we're close. The cause of that is hafuch. Because we're close, He gave us korbanos.
Yeah, I'm still wondering though. It seems just like, but now we don't have korbanos, so
obviously things are not b'shleimus, but afal pikein, the love that there was, that because of that love and chibur, He gave us korbanos. So that love there still is, but it's behester, and that's the vav, as it were, was nistalik l'shorsho by Yaakov, and from Yaakov, it's still shining upon us from a distance.
Okay, but in other words, you still have to say that we're, so to speak, hanging on.
Of
in
course
that
we're hanging on.
It's a relationship of hanging on,
but,
right?
But
low mass team, low gal team.
Right, and that's Brisi Yaakov. The koch of tzura of Klal Yisrael is not bottle. So even the matzav of keri, chamas keri, but the keri is klape chutz, but klape pnim it's vayikra. The tzura is still there, and that's the end of the vav of Yaakov. That's mole. It's being meir to us, and it's bigger because of Yaakov. Yitzchak and Avram just coming as a teisefes. Right. Oh, so now, So we come now to our place in the sphere, right? Kayadua in the tzelem, chesed, right hand, gvura, left hand, tiferes, the body, netzach, right leg, hod, left leg, right? So now the Zohar says, right? The Zohar says that Bina shines in all the midas up to Hod. From beneath Hod, as in Yesod and Malchus, over there the Bina can't be felt because those midas are as were so distant. You know what it's like? The legs. There's like obviously, consciously walking, but also you can walk and not concentrate not concentrate on the steps. That's why, Ula says, "Ein darkum shadam lisbonim bedrachim." That's why you're pot if you knock over a barrel and it's a rabin. You don't watch where you're walking. What can you do? You can walk behesach hadas. So a hergel, it's miloshin regel, right? Habit, things you do without thinking, right? So now, right, when you get down to the as it were, from past Hod, right, it gets as worse to the aspect of the legs that are without Bina, right, bebli das, right, which is already, the midah of Yesod, but even you could have Yesod Shebahod, right? So now the Ariya Kodesh on the words Yosef when he was in Gos. Yosef Yefei Tor V'Yefei Mare when he was in base Potiphar. So Yefei Tor V'Yefei Mare Zok the Ariya is Rashi Tevos Yatom, orphan, because Bina is called the mother, right? That Yosef Atzaik was in a matzav, and the midah of Yesod itself is so far away from Bina. It's like a Yatom. It's far away from the Abba and Ima, which are Chachma and Bina. And that pasuk was said on Yosef when he was in base Potiphar, right? That's why his mistress was after him, right? Yefei Tarvir Yosoim. But what Yosef, even though he's a Yosoim, he's Shem Shemaim Shagur Befiv, and even in that matzav of Yatom in Golus, when he was about to be Nichshol in the Chet, what does he see in the window? The Mustiyukno of Yaakov Avinu. That's the Zacharti is Brisi Yaakov. That shines to us even in the Golus. Even when you're a matzav of Silu Kamoichin, Yaakov Avinu with that Vav shines through that window. right? And that's where we're holding now in Sfira Saimer. Lag Bomer was Hod Shebahod. After Lag, the Beis Yaakov Rishbitza point out. After Lag Bomer, the big simcha of Lag Bomer is that up to Hod Shebahod, the Bina's mitpashet, and the simcha is that we have such a kinyan in it that even now, the day after Lag Bomer is Yesod Shebahod, and after that, take a look from the day after Lag Bomer and onwards, all the tzirufim are either Yesod and Malchus. Yesod Shebahod, Malchus Shebahod, and then you're in Yesod Mamish, and then you're in Malchus Mamish. Right? From after Lag Bomer, we go into so far down in the legs, right? So far down in the legs that we're, as it were, the lower midas, right? We're in a matzav of being far away from the moichin. But the simcha of Lag Bomer is that if we made it this far in the sphera, right? So now we have such a kinyan in the or that we'll have the koach of the or even in a matzav of siluk hamoichin. We get so down in the legs, right? We have such the simcha of Lag Bomer is that there's a Gemara kinyan on how the binas mitpashet in the midas, that we are confident that we're going to have this koach with us even behesach hadas. When we get further down in the legs, right? Right. Right, and that's Bechukosai we always read in the sphere of Yesod, right, the meter which is called Yatom. That's the meter that's mamish between the legs. Kayadu, it's the bris. But over there, even though we're in a matzav of shichacha, right, matzav of siluk hamoichin, we're confident that the or, since we had such a kinyan in it during the good times, during the higher times, it'll be mayor to us even in the dark times. Right? Even though we're so far down in the legs. And that's the pshat in the first pshat in the Medrash. Darki was busy. The first pshat is, I thought he was going to do profane things. He was besilu kadas. He was Bechlal planning to go to the Makolet. Vashiva Ragla, and my legs that go bebli das just brought me back to the Beis HaMedrash. Even in a matzav of Keri, in a matzav where you're not thinking Kedusha, right? They're going there. Vashiva Ragla, my legs just by themselves, which is Mamash talking about the Raglayim, right? All by themselves walk back to the Beis HaMedrash. Right? And that's the big haftacha of Parshas Bechukosai. It's Vayikra even when in the chitzonius of the matzav it's Keri, in Pnimis it's Vayikra. Even when you fall in a matzav of Siluk HaMoichin, still merachok, it still emanates to you. And that's, as a word, the progress that we made in the sphera, that we're so happy, that we had such a kinyan in the or, that the or is even mayor to us, even in a matzav of Siluk HaMoichin.
That's